Andre Iguodala said he learned a lot after the Warriors when he went to Miami, and he's
Yeah,
like, "There's just
yeah,
there's a heat way, there's a culture
yeah,
there
yep.
where they
And
where
I
they
mean,
they
it's
grind hard and they're super intense."
right,
And Jimmy's perfect for that intensity because he is so intense.
absolutely. And I mean,
What are they gonna say now? What are they gonna say now?
all right, and welcome back to the What Are They Going to Say Now podcast. I'm Tony, that's Jay, and yeah, we're just going to talk about obviously some NBA news and the games that have been going on, Western Eastern Conference Finals, and maybe some other things as well.
Yeah, maybe a little PGA Championship golf stuff from the weekend,
Okay.
which was kind of a big deal too.
Nice. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts, man? I know we've kind of texted offline. I don't think either series has gone the way we expected. Putting
I
it
mean,
mildly.
we both had Denver in 6.
Yes. Okay.
And I thought it would be more of a competitive series than this, but I also thought Denver would take it pretty easy in 6.
Yeah.
It'll probably end up being like a gentleman's sweep. We'll see, or just an outright sweep. Who knows? And then we had Boston and Miami going 7, and I picked Boston in 7. I said I'm picking against Jimmy Butler again, and I feel stupid. And Jimmy is making me feel dumb again.
I think I agreed with you, and I'm feeling the same way. So yeah, it's unbelievable, man. Yeah, I mean, I think with both series, just generally, I think there's something to be said for continuity and culture and coaches who have been there for a while, and just kind of like just a team more of a team aspect. Whereas I would say, I guess Boston, you could say Boston's been there for a while as well.
But they lost their coach.
They lost their coach, and also I don't know if they've ever fully recovered from last year.
Yeah,
the way that they went out last year. So it's tough.
Well, and so right now it's 3-0 in both series. Just to clarify where we're at when we're talking about this, Boston completely just laid down last night.
Yeah,
it was pathetic, and I think Joe Mazzulla said, their coach, that he like lost the locker room or something like that, or something in that regard. And I mean, he's been under question all through this playoff run and earlier in the season. Like, does this guy have it to make adjustments? There's definitely been a lot of Celtics fans who are very concerned about that. And I mean, I have to say, I think Boston is going to move on from Mazzulla after this year and find a more seasoned coach with more experience to try and lead that squad. Which, if it happens, and the writing is on the wall, and the coach is talking about losing the locker room, right, and just giving up, and that's usually not a good sign for the coach. If that happens, I know we've called KD a coach killer, but in the complete opposite way, Jimmy Butler is the coach killer. Okay, they take out Milwaukee in the first round. Bud Budenholzer gets fired. They take out Philly in the second round. Doc Rivers gets fired. Now, if they take out Boston and they fire Mazzulla, that's a complete sweep of the Eastern Conference playoffs.
Wow.
Firing all 3 coaches you played against.
I didn't even think of that. That's a hot take.
That's got to be a first. That's got to be a first.
Just slaying coaches left and right. Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of coaches, I didn't even realize this. I think it's well documented. Everyone thinks Eric Spoelstra is one of the best coaches in the NBA. He's the second longest tenured behind Greg Popovich. The guy has never won Coach of the Year, which is amazing to me.
That's insane.
It shows you what all those awards mean. Not much. Yeah. Like, clearly one of the best coaches. All those years, he's never won it once. And he is coaching his ass off right now with that team. I know they made a lot about the undrafted players, and he's trying to downplay it, but it is a big deal. He's taking guys who were not drafted and making them all work together and just getting it done. That doesn't just happen. It's not just the guy stepping up. That's leadership from your coach, for sure.
Yeah, and I would say he's the best coach in the NBA. I know Popovich is technically still in the NBA, but I'm just saying where they are at right now. I think Spoelstra is a genius. I think he's a great coach.
I agree. Speaking of Popovich, though, he just got
Wembanyama.
he got Wembanyama.
He might
as
be
the
around
Spurs
for a little
first
while.
ever pick,
Yeah.
and he has a good history with big men.
Yeah, I could see him sticking around at least for a few more years to get him up and running. So
I have a feeling if they don't land like the first or second pick, he walks after this year. But now that he's got Wembanyama, he's probably pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that for sure. No, but I was just gonna say, you can just see game within a game, the coaching that Spoelstra does, right?
Yeah.
You saw multiple times, even in the game last night, where Miami would go on a big run, and they're just kind of the gameplay is ticking off. Mazzulla calls no timeouts. It's just kind of and I think there is something to be said for letting your team play through mistakes. But that's a regular season.
That's a regular
mindset.
season move,
Right,
not a playoff.
It's a regular season.
You need to take a timeout, stop the momentum, and try and stop the bleeding.
And there was a specific moment. I was listening.
There was a big like 13-2 run in the third quarter.
Yeah,
where it was like they need to take a timeout.
Even in the second quarter, I was listening before halftime in my car on the way to work, and they made Miami made a big run, and then the Celtics scored 5 straight points. And Spoelstra called a timeout.
Yeah, he's like
taking it from like 25 to 20 or 20 to 15, something like that. He's like, nope, like you got to stem that momentum.
Totally.
You have to know your team and know when, hey, they either need a breather or I saw something I didn't like. Yeah. It's those like you said, it's in-game adjustments, and that could.
Well, it feels like Spoelstra just always makes the right move. He just has such a feel for the game and his substitutions, and he's just sharp.
Yeah,
so
and I think there's something to be said for getting players to run through a wall for you. When you have a group of guys and a culture of tell them what you expect. He's hard. I don't think he's easy on players. I would say.
Well, it helps. He also has Jimmy Butler's a part of that too, for sure.
Yeah,
his
absolutely.
intensity.
Yeah, and that's a reflection of the coach on the floor, right?
Right.
They always say, he's a point guard on the floor, or he, embodies the coach on the floor. When you have guys like that and a culture like that, I think it's easy to have a group of guys that will do anything for the coach and make those adjustments that we're talking about. And you can see the difference in Boston. So
well, you can tell like Spoelstra and Jimmy Buckets are a match made in heaven. They're so perfect together.
Yeah,
we've seen Jimmy Butler butt heads in the past. Tibbs in Chicago.
Yeah, it worked for a while. Yeah.
In Philly issues, but like he finally found his match, and they say, Andre Iguodala said he learned a lot after the Warriors when he went to Miami, and he's like, there's just there's a heat way, there's a culture there.
Yep.
Where they
it's
grind hard and they're super intense.
Right.
And Jimmy's perfect for that intensity because he is so intense.
Absolutely. And it trickles down from the top as well, right?
Pat Riley.
So, you're talking about setting a precedent, and like I said, there's been some players, I think, in some eras of the Heat basketball where, maybe things came into question, after the LeBron, Wade, Bosh era, there were some down years, things like that. But, the proof is in the pudding. Like, they always compete. They may not win every year. They may, get knocked out and have a weaker team or this or that, but they're not laying down like the Celtics did last night. Like that's not happening.
Yeah. And that's why, when the team lays down like that, that's why I think Mazzulla's gone.
Yeah.
That's a really bad look. And I have a stat for you while we're talking about Pat Riley.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Pat Riley participated in NBA finals as a player, as a coach, and as an executive, right?
Yeah.
Assuming they close out this series and go to the finals, that means his team, in one form or another, will have played in 25% of all NBA finals of all time.
Insanity.
He's been involved with 1 out of 4. That's crazy.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I bet you Kerr could get close to that. You know what I mean? Like I wonder where he's at on that.
Well, let's see. Kerr has 9.
Spurs.
Kerr has 9 rings.
Right.
And he's lost 2 finals.
Right.
And then I believe he was on a Spurs team that lost the finals.
99.
As well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been involved in quite a few himself. Yeah, he's right up there.
And then, 8 with the Warriors, right?
Yeah.
8 finals. So I mean, you start adding all those things up. I don't think he's at Riley's. I mean, obviously he's
No.
not at Riley's level, but I'm just saying, like, but it's impressive, man. And yeah, you said Missoula might be gone. I think they might break up some of that core in Boston.
Well, it's always been a thing talking about Brown and Tatum.
Yeah.
And then, last year they put it together, but
Right.
people forget first half of the season last year, it was like almost a foregone conclusion that they were going to break it up, and one of them was gone, and there was this alpha thing going on.
Yeah, there were some weird vibes with Jason Tatum this year.
I think it's clear that
Jaylen Brown, actually, yeah.
I think that relates back to bitterness over the KD trade, the potential KD trade, because remember he was on the table for it.
Jaylen Brown, yeah.
But it's also like Jaylen Brown. Yeah, you're a really good young player. It's KD. You can't take that personally,
right?
I mean, I know it's personal, so you have to take it personally.
Yeah.
But it's also like, and who knows? Maybe he has, and we're speculating. But there's been a lot of talk about this since.
Yeah.
That you got to get over it and move on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could be part of it. I think also he just might not want to be in that spotlight anymore in Boston. I mean, when you go through the same iteration of a team so many times and it doesn't work, it starts putting that doubt into your head, and you wonder if things might be better somewhere else. I mean, listen, he has not been good. He was horrible last night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like he's been out there.
Tatum has clearly ascended as the absolute star of that team. It's not even close.
Right.
We saw some equal play between them in the NBA Finals last year, but I mean Tatum is clearly the number one, and I think Brown wants to be the number one.
Yeah,
but I don't think he's not on that level yet. He's not. He can be really good some nights, but he can be really bad too.
Yeah. I don't think he's a number one either. I mean, maybe he finds a different team where he can be more of a role player. Maybe. I mean, because they do ask a lot of him.
Yeah, he's a solid number two.
Yeah. But I don't know. Something about the way the last few years have gone, and then specifically the way this series has gone, and the way they've quit makes me think, that there's might be some changes.
He's heading into the last year of his contract next year, I believe, as well.
I think so. Yeah. I believe you're right. Just like Draymond, I think.
That's what was starting the rumors that Boston might trade him. This is last year, just because it sounds like he's gone when his contract's up. He's going to leave anyway, so trade him now while you can get something.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling we're going to hear a lot about those rumors similar to that this offseason.
Absolutely. I agree.
Because I feel like Boston has to change it up a little bit. They were close. And they missed Udoka as their coach, clearly.
The defense under Missoula is just not there, man. Like you saw the team that the Warriors played against in the finals last year, like that defense that they were playing, that's not.
Well, and Ime Udoka, that was his focus, was defense.
Right. Yeah. I don't know, does a coaching change the player's ability to play a defensive system like they did a year ago? I mean,
points of emphasis. I think it can really matter. It's about what you're doing throughout the whole season, and then
true.
Draymond Green was talking about this with the Warriors about how they weren't sharp through the year, and eventually that's just who you are, and it's going to come back and bite you in the playoffs at some point.
It's hard to turn it on, right?
Yeah, and here's my theory. I don't like to speculate on someone's job that they haven't lost yet, but I think Missoula's gone. Do you know who I think would be a good fit in Boston? Is Frank Vogel.
Ooh, okay.
Who did a really good job in LA, won a chip in the bubble, then was scapegoated after the failure of that Russell Westbrook roster move, bringing him in and taking all their depth out. And they made him a scapegoat and pushed him out the door like it was his fault.
Yeah.
Good defensive minded coach, lot of experience. I could see him being a good fit in Boston.
Yeah. Defensive coach. So they get back to those principles. Yeah, I could see that. The coaching carousel this summer is just going to be wild.
I know you have multiple guys with rings in
Monty Williams,
recent years. Nick Nurse.
Nick Nurse. Yeah.
Actually, Nick Nurse would be a really good fit in Boston too.
Yeah.
He's underrated. Nick Nurse is a tough read. Coach.
He's a very good coach. He had a bad end of his tenure in Toronto, so you just wonder how much of that is, kind of like you just lost the team, or once you lose the team, it doesn't matter if you're a good coach or not. It's
I mean, sometimes you just need to
change
the scenery. People need to hear a new voice. That's it.
Yeah,
it's not always an indictment of the current coach. It's just sometimes you gotta mix it up.
Absolutely. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I like
you got Bud Budenholzer out there. You got Monty Williams out there,
right?
And we have some good teams with openings. It's going to be a real. Probably one of the craziest coaching carousel off seasons coming up that we've ever seen.
That's true. I don't remember this many coaches getting let go like at this time of the year too. Usually if your team makes it into the playoffs and performs adequately well, you just kind of stay put on that. But yeah, it just seems like teams are wanting changes. So
yeah,
be interesting. What do you think about the series out west?
So yeah, Lakers, Denver. Jokic is amazing, but who's really starting to shine and get the spotlight is Jamal Murray. He's been playing so well these playoffs, and the Lakers have no answer for him. And which credit to Jokic. Jokic does not care about. He's never cared about leading the team in points or anything like that. He has gravity and he attracts players and he gives Murray great looks. He's really setting Murray up well. He's such a good passer. He's so good.
Yeah, their pick and roll game is just devastating. And
so there's no answer for it. So I mean, it's an impressive duo. And like I said, KCP has played really well too. He's been hitting all. I know the numbers don't quite pan out, but like if you look, it feels like every time I see him shoot a three, it goes in, especially in the second half of games, just over. So I have a feeling, what's funny, and we don't like to talk about the refs too much. And we said the officiating against the Warriors was horrible, but the Warriors deserve to lose anyway. It feels like the league is trying so hard to give LeBron every opportunity, LeBron and the Lakers. The officiating has been so tilted towards the Lakers in this series. And then you have Lakers fans complaining. It's like, what are you talking about?
Right.
But it doesn't matter. Denver's just going to steamroll them anyway. It's like, nope.
They're just better, man. They're just better. They've been better all year. They've been the best team in the conference all year. So you can't get mad at a team like that, proving why they were the best team in the conference, all year. I think had the Warriors beat the Lakers, I think they would have got beat by Denver. This year, I mean,
well, and credit to Denver. I was questioning their chops on the road because they had a losing road record this season. In the playoffs, they've shown no, not a problem. They just went to LA and took two, right? Well, no, they didn't go to LA and take two. They went to LA and took the first game down there.
They just might.
Yeah.
They
might just close it out in a sweep.
Yeah. When it comes to being down 3-0, it's really like, I think the home team tries to put up as especially with the home team being down 3-0.
Yeah.
I think it's about that.
That's why I see a gentleman's sweep happening. Gentleman's sweep.
Okay, so you think LA
Lakers win tonight, and then back in Denver they'll just close it out.
I don't know, man. I think the Lakers
or it's just a sweep.
I think the Lakers are gonna put up an effort.
Yeah.
I just don't know if they have enough to beat Denver for 48 minutes. Like, I think Denver's so consistent. There's been nights where Jokic has been struggling. Like he's missing point blank shots, and it doesn't matter. Because Jamal Murray's going off, and Michael Porter Jr. is hitting threes, and they're getting up and down in transition. The Lakers look old. They look old.
Yeah. Well, and I also think they're just, I will say credit to the Lakers, contrary to Boston, they're not fighting. Giving up. They are fighting hard. The beginning of first half of game 3, I texted you and said, the Lakers are playing desperate right now because they know if they go down 3-0, they were hustling and going hard. They didn't lay down at all. They were opposite of Boston.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just, I think what happens is it comes down to those crunch time minutes. And I think the Lakers are fighting so hard just to stay afloat and like hang with Denver at all, that when Denver turns it up a notch and says, okay, all right, well, here's, we're going to like go hard for these 5 minutes, the game's over.
I know they go on crazy runs and they'll just hit like 5 3-pointers in 5 minutes and a bunch of other buckets and getting offensive rebounds. And
Lakers are not matching up with that level of intensity, and I think we're going to hear things after the series. Oh, LeBron's foot was about to fall off, and
there's always a reason, right?
Oh yeah, I mean it's it happens. It is what it is. But I know those narratives are being written right now, and just the excuses and this and that. But and you asked,
what are the odds that LeBron comes out in crutches after after they're knocked out to the press conference? He'll come out
in
in
a
crutches.
wheelchair, whatever it is. But I think you said something about the league, trying to like kind of force their, what they would have preferred.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I don't think the league wants the Celtics or the Lakers to lose. Like, I think they would rather that be, kind of seems like that's what they were trying to go towards. But I think Denver Miami would be a fantastic series.
Oh, I'm super excited for that series, assuming it happens. I think the odds really are very likely. Yeah. I think it'll be a great matchup. And what also I like about it is, like, we got the Lakers out and the Celtics out. And I'm fine with Denver. I like Jimmy Butler in Miami. Mm-hmm. So that'll just be fun because I'll want that to go 7 games and just be dramatic and not really care who wins,
Right.
Although the Jimmy Butler story, I mean, they barely made the play-in, and then lost a play-in game and then barely won the second one. To go that far and to win it all would be something that we've never seen in sports before.
Yep. Yeah, and there's I just think both teams are playing at such a high level that it would be a really interesting back and forth. Both teams have some toughness and some fire, and I don't know. I just like just thinking about seeing Jimmy Butler. He's just an unstoppable force, and then the way that Jokic and Murray are playing, it's just I don't know. I think it would be really interesting. And different. I'm just here for something different. You know what I mean?
Totally different.
We've seen LeBron in so many finals, and we've seen
if Miami gets it done, not that it's not happening already. Philly fans will forever be haunted by Tobias Harris over me. Tobias Harris over me.
Right. I mean, he's not wrong. He's proved it. But and then there's also like there's a little bit of bad blood too with Jokic and Miami. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't quite recall.
He pushed down.
From behind, like late in the game, right?
Yeah. So that
who did he push?
That was in 2021.
Who did he push?
Markieff Morris.
And it was super dirty from behind.
Right.
And just like clocks him from behind.
Yeah. Morris had, I think elbowed him before. I'm trying to remember the details. This was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But that was an ugly situation. And there's different people. And I don't even think Markieff Morris is on Miami anymore. But it's just, it's interesting when you get some of those teams.
Well, there's a bunch of guys who were there and saw that.
Right. So, I don't know, man. I could see that being just for people who like basketball and aren't just about I want to see this team get this many rings, the legacy, championship or whatever they were calling it. I think it's just going to be a good. If we get that series, it's going to be a good basketball.
It is the best series for actual basketball fans, and it's not even close.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that if that happens.
We'll do our official preview and predictions for that once it's official. We'll hold off for now.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just gonna say the other thing about that is that if these two series end in sweeps, the NBA Finals doesn't start till June 1st. So that's gonna be like a
well-rested teams.
Just a long break too. It's just gonna be like a week of no basketball. But I mean,
I think that would probably favor Miami a little bit. They're maybe, like Jimmy Butler's older, and takes a beating, and so I think that works to his advantage a touch. But either way, it'll be good to see them both coming in pretty fresh, even if it goes 5
rested.
games or whatever. Yeah.
Maybe they lose a little bit of momentum or something like that. But I mean, I don't know. Over 7 games, the better team usually wins anyway. So
yeah. All right. Well, I want to do a quick shift. We don't talk about golf much, but we just had the PGA Championship, one of the 4 majors, conclude yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and a couple of really big storylines. First, we should start with Brooks Koepka, one of the golfers who left the tour for LIV, wins his 5th major championship.
Wow.
And to put that in perspective, only 20 players in history have 5 or more majors. Rory McIlroy, while he's won a whole bunch more tournaments than Koepka, only has 4 majors.
Wow.
So it's a big deal. And a lot of the other LIV players did really well. Bryson DeChambeau finished, I believe, 4th. And, a couple other guys were there. And what this kind of does is there's the big argument about the official world golf rankings and how currently LIV events don't get any because it doesn't follow the format. It's only 54 holes. There's no cut. There was all these guidelines that were already in place.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think this now starts to apply pressure when you have, Koepka almost won the Masters too. He came in 2nd, or he was starting the day in the lead and fell back a little bit. But, the point is some of the best golfers in the world are still playing now at that level. And I think it's going to put pressure on the golf rankings to start to give LIV something. I wish they changed their format. I think the LIV format, the team thing, the 54 holes, it really sucks. It's not very good. It's not a good product. The production value is crap.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'd be more interested in it if it was just a competing tour and they just did it the regular way.
Okay.
I will say for Koepka, LIV is, backed by the Saudi government. That's what all the controversies about, blood money, etc. Koepka's a guy who was very successful, but then he had a couple surgeries. His knee, he was afraid he would never get back to that level. So someone comes knocking and they're offering you tens of millions of dollars. It's really hard when you're afraid you're never going to get your game back, that you're injured. And, it's easy to say no for someone else, but if really tasked with that question, would I have taken the money? Yeah, I probably would have. And I do appreciate the players like Koepka, like DJ, not Bryson, who just said it's too much money and I can't turn it down. Can't turn it down for my family. Sets my family up for generations. Some of them like Bryson, Mickelson, a couple other guys, we're growing the game and, the Saudis have changed and like propaganda. Yeah, fuck you. Like, fuck that shit. So, Koepka never did that. So I'm like, okay, good for him. Koepka and Bryson both got booed heavily by the New York crowd in Rochester.
Really?
On the first tee on Saturday. Heavy boos. Obviously, New York is a little sensitive to the Saudis with 9/11, right? So they really let him have it, and I would say Bryson deserved it. Koepka, not so much. And it's going to be interesting. Tensions have kind of simmered between the two tours now, and which is probably better for the game. So it'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out. But this is a major turning point, having one of the LIV guys, win it. And Koepka even said he kind of regrets going to LIV now that he's healthy and has his swing back. And he alluded to it a couple of weeks ago. And it's understandable. I can't really be down on somebody for that.
Yeah. What kind of out is there on LIV? Like if you sign a contract with them,
you got to pay all the money back. And then there's it turns out the LIV contract, while it was sold as being more freedom for the players, they're actually locked down way more than they ever were with the PGA.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
So I don't know how that's going to work out.
Okay.
But this is a major turning point with him winning the PGA.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the other big storyline, which was really cool, it was the feel good story of the week. Michael Block, Michael Block. Yeah, exactly. Michael Block, a teaching pro in Orange County, so Southern California. So how the PGA works is, it's the PGA of America. So teaching pros at golf clubs all over. There's, 25, 30,000 certified PGA teaching pros across the country. They can play in local qualifiers. And if they advance far enough, they can make the PGA Championship. Every year, a dozen or so will make it. I forget how many spots there are, but none of them make the cut. It's extremely rare for them to make the cut. Come Friday night, Michael Block is tied for 8th, and he's matched up with Rory McIlroy the next day.
Wow.
And he's just like, oh, this is crazy. And and so he's going, the crowd loves the underdog, right? And just feeding off the crowd. And he's hanging around, but he's a little over, and he needed to finish top 15 to qualify automatically for next year, just without having to qualify.
Mm-hmm.
He's just pre-exempt.
Mm-hmm.
And it was looking a little dicey, and he steps up to par 3, number 15, and jars a hole in one. It was a great moment. Rory runs over and high fives him, and and the crowd just loses it.
Yeah.
And so that got him close on track. And then he had this amazing up and down on 18, makes the 10-footer, comes in right on 15 on the dot, qualifies for next year automatically. And also PGA teaching pros, they don't make a lot of money. They make less than 100,000 a year easily. Less, or a lot less in some cases. So he bags about 290,000 for that finish.
Nice.
Then afterwards, continuing the feel good vibes, the tournament down in Texas that's next week, they reach out and give him a wild card spot, an exemption to come play next week's tournament. Yeah, so he's like, this is crazy. Then the RBC Canadian Open, which is in, I believe, 2 weeks after that, or it could be the week after, in early June, says you're invited too. So he's got 2 more gigs lined up. Pretty cool to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How old is this guy?
46.
Okay.
So
around our age.
He's not some nobody scrub. I mean, he's been like the he's not an amateur because he's a pro golfer, but he's played in majors before, but he's never made the cut. He's qualified. You can qualify for the US Open too. Mm-hmm. You can qualify for the Open Championship in the UK. The only one that's purely invite only, although you can qualify through winning other tournaments, but is the Masters. Right. So he's played in some majors before. He's also just won lower level. He's been the California Golfer of the Year 7 times over.
Oh, okay. So he's
but he's still a total underdog. This is not
right.
Some guy, but he kind of never pursued the grind because to make the PGA Tour and all that, you guys spend a lot of money. You can lose money in that process if you don't play well. Right. It's a real grind, and you have kids, and so he never really committed to it. So to see him at 46 kind of break through and get this chance, and now he's getting sponsors exemptions is really cool to see. So I'm sure everybody pretty much will be rooting for him.
Yeah. I just keep picturing Happy Gilmore. I was like, do they give him the big checks where he has to put him in his car afterwards? But no, the underdog story is great, man. Obviously, people are gonna be rooting for that just because it's something you don't see all the time, and it's like you want to root for a cool story like that. So that's awesome. Nice, man.
All right, well, I think that kind of wraps it up. And
probably do one maybe the end of this week when those series end, something like that.
Yeah, we'll do a finals preview.
Do
a finals preview.
Nice.
Between the Celtics. Between the Heat and Denver, most likely. If we're not doing the preview between those two teams, we'll be talking about a historic comeback that somebody had. But I don't see it happening. No one's ever come back from down 3-0. 3-1 has happened several times, but 3-0 has never happened.
The takes are already coming out on Twitter and everywhere else. Oh, LeBron is going to bring his team back. Guys, come on.
No, he's not.
If he does, it would be insane, but I don't
more so, we're already getting the rumors of Kyrie coming to the Lakers next year.
That too. Actually, they can get Kyrie. That's fine because it's going to end in flames like every other place Kyrie goes.
Well, I think the theory is, Kyrie's basically chemistry cancer, but LeBron is the only one who he's played with who was able to kind of overcome Kyrie's personality, and it's also because he was younger before. I was
going to say that was also 7 years ago.
Shit crazy.
Yeah.
But that's why those rumors are around.
Yeah, I get it. But I think it would be chaos if they do that. And I just don't know how many years, signing him to a big contract or, whatever it is. I don't know. How long is LeBron really going to play? If he's looking like this now and kind of wearing down and, I don't know. Father time, man.
Yeah, he needs to, Father time is undefeated. He needs to, limit his play next year for sure to make it through the season. He's gonna be 39.
Yeah.
So
and the other thing about the Lakers is I think they kind of caught lightning in a bottle with the run they had the second half. Like, I don't think it will be, well, first of all, they might make a bunch of changes too, depending if
Right.
they get swept out. But I don't see them having that same run. Like, people know
Right.
who Austin Reeves is now.
Austin Reeves, I was going to say,
You know?
is the breakout player of the playoffs.
Been
Like,
unbelievable. Yeah.
was he putting up 20 points plus a game? Like,
Oh,
he's,
yeah.
and it felt like against the Warriors, he couldn't miss.
Yeah.
So he has really put his name on the map.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they just have several players who, you know, against the Warriors, it seems like they couldn't miss. And, you know, Lonnie Walker coming off the bench and, you know, detonating. And, like, Denver's like, okay, they saw all that and they're like, okay. And they just bulldoze through them. So, you know,
Right.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, you know, what change. I think there's going to be so many teams, you know, looking to make changes this year. And it's just going to be really interesting off season too. So
Yeah, I agree.
We'll get into that later. So,
all right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Please subscribe and or leave comments if you're on YouTube or elsewhere where comments are allowed. And we'll be back soon.
Peace.